In this section, we will look at how Royal Mail increased its prices during the pandemic and how it affected customers and businesses. Royal Mail is the UK's postal service provider, delivering letters and parcels across the country and abroad. It is also responsible for the Universal Service Obligation, which means it has to deliver mail to every address in the UK at a uniform price. However, Royal Mail has been facing financial challenges in recent years, as letter volumes have declined and costs have risen. The pandemic added more pressure to the company, as it had to deal with increased demand for parcel deliveries, staff absences due to COVID-19, and higher expenses for wages, energy and fuel. To cope with these challenges, Royal Mail decided to raise its prices for stamps and parcels in April 2022. It increased the price of a first-class stamp by 10p to 95p, and a second-class stamp by 2p to 68p. It also raised the prices for sending parcels by 7% for domestic deliveries and 4% for international deliveries. In addition, it introduced a fuel surcharge in some of its contracts, to reflect the rising cost of fuel. These price increases were met with criticism from customers and businesses, who felt they were unfair and excessive. Many people rely on Royal Mail for sending and receiving important documents, such as health appointments, bills, fines or legal notices. Some customers also use Royal Mail for sending gifts, cards or personal items to their loved ones. The higher prices meant that they had to pay more for these services, or look for alternative options. For businesses, especially small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, the price hikes were a major blow. Many SMEs use Royal Mail for sending their products to their customers, or for receiving supplies from their suppliers. The higher prices meant that they had to either absorb the extra costs themselves, or pass them on to their customers, which could affect their competitiveness and profitability. Some businesses also complained that the price increases were not justified by the quality of service they received from Royal Mail. They reported delays, disruptions and losses of their mail during the pandemic, which affected their operations and reputation. According to Citizens Advice, 2.5 million Royal Mail customers did not receive important documents on time between December 2021 and January 2022. Royal Mail blamed these issues on the wave of Omicron infections that affected its staff availability. In conclusion, Royal Mail increased its prices during the pandemic to cover its higher costs and lower revenues. However, this decision had a negative impact on its customers and businesses, who felt they were paying more for less. The price increases also raised questions about the sustainability of Royal Mail's business model and its ability to adapt to the changing market conditions. Royal Mail is the UK's designated universal postal service provider, which means it has a legal obligation to deliver mail to every address in the country, 6 days a week, at affordable and uniform prices. But how well has it fulfilled this obligation in the past year? In this section, we will look at how Royal Mail failed to meet its delivery targets and what consequences it had for customers and senders. According to Ofcom, the communications regulator that oversees Royal Mail's performance, the company has to meet certain quality of service standards every year. These include delivering 93% of first-class mail within 1 working day of collection, delivering 98.5% of second-class mail within 3 working days of collection, and completing 99.9% of delivery routes on each day that a delivery is required. However, Royal Mail admitted that it did not meet any of these targets in the 2022-23 financial year. It said that only 73.7% of first-class mail arrived within 1 working day, 90.7% of second-class mail arrived within 3 working days, and just 89.35% of delivery routes were completed for each day a delivery was required. This means that millions of letters and parcels were delayed or missed altogether, causing frustration and inconvenience for both senders and recipients. Ofcom has launched an investigation into Royal Mail's poor performance and said it would consider imposing a financial penalty if there were no satisfactory explanation for its failures. This is not the first time that Royal Mail has faced such scrutiny from the regulator. In 2019, it was fined £1.5 million for missing its first-class delivery target in 2018-19. In 2020 and 2021, it also failed to meet its delivery targets but was not found to be in breach of its regulatory obligations due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Royal Mail has blamed its delivery problems on various factors, such as staff shortages, increased online shopping, bad weather, and industrial action by some of its workers. It said it was disappointed with its performance and that restoring its service to the high standards its customers expect was its top priority. However, some critics have accused Royal Mail of prioritizing parcels over letters, neglecting its universal service obligation, and failing to invest enough in modernizing its operations. The consequences of Royal Mail's delivery failures are not only felt by individual customers who may miss important bills, letters, or gifts, but also by businesses and organizations that rely on timely and reliable postal services. For example, some online retailers have reported losing sales and customers due to delayed or missing deliveries by Royal Mail. Some charities have also said that their fundraising campaigns have been affected by slow or missing mailings. Moreover, some public services such as the NHS have faced challenges in sending out test kits, appointment letters, or vaccination invitations due to Royal Mail's delays. In conclusion, Royal Mail has failed to meet its delivery targets for 2 years in a row, which has had negative impacts on customers and senders across the UK. Ofcom is investigating whether Royal Mail has breached its legal obligations and whether it should face a fine or other sanctions. Royal Mail has apologized for its performance and said it was working hard to improve its service. However, it remains to be seen whether it can regain the trust and confidence of its customers and stakeholders. In this section, we will look at how Royal Mail handled complaints and compensation claims from its customers who were affected by late deliveries and high fees. We will also explore what alternatives customers have if they are not satisfied with Royal Mail's service. Royal Mail claims to have a customer service team that can handle complaints by phone, email, or online form. However, many customers have reported that they faced long waiting times, unhelpful responses, or no replies at all. Some customers also said that they were asked to provide proof of postage and value for their items, which they did not have or could not access easily. If a customer's item is lost, damaged, or delayed, they may be eligible to claim compensation from Royal Mail. The amount and type of compensation depends on the service used, the date and location of posting, and the proof of postage and value provided. However, Royal Mail has a number of exclusions and limitations that may reduce or deny the compensation. For example, Royal Mail does not accept liability for consequential losses, such as loss of business or emotional distress. Royal Mail also has a list of prohibited and restricted items that are not covered by compensation, such as cash, jewelry, antiques or perishable goods. To make a claim for compensation, customers need to fill out an online form or send a letter to Royal Mail within 80 days of posting the item. Royal Mail says it usually makes a decision within 30 days, but it can take up to 90 days for international items. If customers are not happy with the decision, they can ask for an impartial review by the Postal Review Panel within 30 days of receiving the decision. If they are still not satisfied, they can refer their complaint to the Postal Redress Service, Posters, an independent ombudsman scheme, within 6 months of receiving the decision. However, many customers have complained that Royal Mail's compensation process is slow, complicated, and unfair. Some customers said that they received less than the actual value of their items or only got stamps as compensation. Some customers said that they were denied compensation because they did not meet the criteria or because their items were excluded or restricted. Some customers said that they had to go through multiple stages of appeal and wait for months before getting a final response. So what alternatives do customers have if they are unhappy with Royal Mail service? One option is to switch to another postal operator that offers better prices, quality, and customer service. There are many competitors in the UK market, such as Hermes, DPD, Parcelforce, or UPS. These operators may have different features and benefits, such as online tracking, delivery notifications, flexible options or insurance cover. Customers can compare different operators online or ask for recommendations from friends or family. Another option is to use alternative methods of communication or delivery that do not rely on postal services. For example, customers can send emails, texts, or messages instead of letters or cards. They can also use online platforms or apps to order goods or services instead of sending checks or vouchers. They can also use digital services such as e-books, e-tickets, or e-gift cards instead of physical items. These methods may be faster, cheaper, and more convenient than using postal services. In conclusion, we have seen how Royal Mail exploited its customers with late deliveries and high fees and how it handled complaints and compensation claims poorly. We have also seen what alternatives customers have if they want to avoid using Royal Mail's service. We hope this video has been informative and helpful for you. Thank you for watching.